Welcome to Metaphysical Soul Speak. I'm your host, Alanna Fox Starks. Hey guys, I hope that wherever and whenever you are listening to this recording, that you are happy and healthy and feeling really good in every aspect of your life. I feel pretty good today myself. It's Sunday, very late that I'm recording this. It's 2 a.m. already. I'm sorry, California. I didn't get this done in time for your daylight savings time. Midnight. It's going to be an hour late. Sorry about that, guys. But to be honest with you, I had a very leisurely afternoon. For whatever reason, my body did not crave coffee like normal. So I just lounged around in bed. It was cold outside. Rainy and cold and misty. Like the air was just so thick, like with just damp. So I spent the day in bed and I talked to friends. My girlfriend in San Diego and my girlfriend who lives here, but she didn't want to get out of bed today either. I think she was cuddling with her dog under the blankets while talking to me. And there's this new game on, it's a quiz game on Facebook Messenger, and you play 5 rounds each, 3 questions. And they're like really fast. You have to like read the question, figure it out, and answer it before your time runs out. Excuse me. So someone sent it to me, and then they sent me a thing called a nudge to nudge me into playing the game with them. And I'm like, okay, fine, I'll play the game. I've never played a game on Messenger ever, but I'm enjoying it. I started playing the game. I've written 18 questions for the game. They're not in circulation yet. They are still looking at them and reviewing them. But that's what I did all day. I just kind of played this quiz game, and then I started reading super deep scientific articles in research for my show tonight, which is going to be off the beaten path, like everything. Is there even a beaten path with me? I don't know. It's like, yeah, I do some basic things the same every week or every couple weeks. Like I do channel, but all the channelings are different. I think everything is different. I mean, even when I'm doing card readings, obviously the readings are going to be different. But anyway, tonight we are going to talk about the body clocks and the circadian rhythms, but not just the circadian rhythms, but all the rhythms in the body. And it was hard for me to locate this information. I mean, I spent hours looking for it. So what I uncovered was pretty interesting. I think you're going to feel the same way. This is going to be more along the lines of science and health tonight. But it's going to be stuff that, it's stuff that will help you in the long run. Some of this information is going to be directly related to you, or some of it's just interesting to know. Anyway, yeah, I don't know. I today, after I spent hours in bed, I decided I got to get up and do something. And I stood up and I went, I just feel like relaxing. So I took a very, very long, very hot bath. And the only thing I put in it was some blue dye to have a blue bath and Epsom salts, and that's it. And even from the bath, I washed my hair, drained the bath water out, put more bath water in. I mean, it was luxurious. I drained that thing 3 or 4 times. I was just too lazy to stand up and take a shower. I was just so tired. I mean, it dawned on me, dealing with the government bureaucracy was part of it, but I was surrounded by refugees from Venezuela and Colombia, and I don't know. I mean, it was just, my heart was so sad for these people. And I know that my reason for being here isn't it's just because I'm stubborn and I want to live here and I like it here. And that's really it. I don't have to live here. I'm not fleeing. I mean, in a way I'm escaping, but I'm not fleeing my country. I do love my country. I don't have the stomach to live there right now. I just don't have the stomach for it. And I don't have the inclination. Not for the heavy duty traffic in Los Angeles, not for pollution anywhere, not for government disappearances of people from all the government lands and forests. I don't know if you guys have heard about missing 411, but hundreds of thousands of people have gone missing when they're on vacation on government lands, seeing the most beautiful parts of our country, and then they go missing or end up dead 50 miles away, on top of a mountain that's unclimbable, or just weird stuff. I don't have the stomach for it. I just don't. I'm scared of Yellowstone going off. I mean, maybe I'm prematurely worried about it and it's not going to go off for 1,000 years and I won't even be here, but it's concerning. I'm concerned about pollution and the government lying and the empty buildings in Los Angeles that were built to house millions of prisoners. I don't know if you guys even know about that. It was a government bond, and it was a big cover-up kind of lie sort of thing. Said, we're going to build better prisons in LA, and they did. And these are huge, high-rise prisons. Nothing that's really ever been built before. And it's ready to harbor millions of people. And they still stand empty right now. What are they going to use them for? Was it just to gouge California taxpayers? Was it just to, let's do it, just so we can say we did it? Or what are they planning? It's something that's been on my mind for a while. Every now and again, I think about it again. All the chemtrails being sprayed in the sky, what the hell are they spraying? What are they doing to us? I just don't have a stomach to be there anymore. I just don't. I'm comfortable with the 8 flights that go over my house every day. There's not a single chemtrail in sight, ever. Living in a country where nature has rights. People who have committed crimes or made mistakes, they still have rights. They still have the right to see their family every day, as opposed to 1 hour a week. My friend who had written me a letter that I could read on the air from prison. They moved him from California to Michigan, knowing that the only person that would visit him was his mom, who lived in California. So for 25 years, I don't think he's had a visitor. I mean, it's so, if the mental health of somebody is such that they have killed someone or several someones, whether they're in a gang or whatever, they probably do need their family and friends to come and see them. It doesn't make their mental health any better to restrict it to the point where you make it impossible for them to have interactions with the outside world at all. he only found me because he found his roommate had a cell phone. And he said he probably said, I'm going to tell unless you let me use it for an hour. And he got on this dating app, and I got on the dating app. And it was a dating app only for millionaires, which is hilarious. And all the people I met on there, I think only one guy made $100,000 a year, and everyone else was not. Everyone else was poor. So it was like, everyone's like trying to, it was hilarious. It's like, I might as well try this one. I've tried all the others. I don't know. And they vote you in or out to see if they think you're rich or not. So you have to, pose with your best. And his pictures, his selfie of him in his cell, in his jail cell. And I guess no one really recognized what that was, so they just voted him in. And anyway, it's how we became friends. It's kind of crazy. So, I don't know, but it's just all the weird stuff. Like, I don't even want to go into the political stuff. This is not a political show, but it's just too much. You guys, it's just too much. If you guys are there in the U.S., 73% of my listening audience, you guys are still there. And you don't really want to or haven't thought of moving to a foreign nation yet. But I don't know. I mean, for the most part, the going is still good for most people in most places. Not every city is Flint, Michigan, thank God. I'm very sad about Flint. Not every city's got the violence of Philadelphia. City of brotherly love, my eye. Oh my God. What the heck was that about? In Detroit, someone was finally killed. I mean, we were the murder capital of the world, and, people have been too good to each other. There was only one murder since January until, I think this week something happened. So bizarre. I'm glad that the crime had gone down. The crime had gone down in a lot of places. But you guys have floods. There's so many floods. Oh, my God. Fires in one place, floods in another place. If you just, mish them up together, there would be nothing. There'd be no floods because the floods would, the water would burn up in the fire, and there'd be no fires because the water put it out. The world according to Elena. It doesn't really work that way, I know, but I don't know. I don't know, guys. I worry for my country quite a bit. I worry for Ecuador now because we have so many refugees coming. I learned something really sad this morning is that a 50-year-old doctor who worked for the IESS, which is basically the free healthcare system, because this is a socialized nation. We have, not socialized, I'm sorry, socialism. If it's a socialist nation, does that mean we're socialized? That's probably not what that means. But anyway, he worked for the system where people could go and get help for free. My son and I have gone to the free healthcare system a few times. We've also gone to the paid ones a few times as well, but I don't know, we're pretty familiar with the free system right now. But this guy was killed right in front of the IESS building. 50 years old, my age. Just stabbed to death after his shift. And that's it. No one really knows what happened. They think maybe because they wanted to steal his car. So I guess his car was taken somehow. It's getting hairy out there a little bit. Just a little bit. This is not normal for Cuenca, really. I mean, to have some of the scary things that have been happening here happen. There's a story a few months ago about a lady who was accosted out on the street. These guys came and they had a gun and they took her purse. And that made all the ladies scared. They said, we've been living here our whole lives. And I talked to ladies that were like 50 and 60 and 70 years old. And they said, yeah, this has never happened. This is such a peaceful and quiet and sweet little town. Like, nobody ever hurts anyone in this city. And suddenly it's starting to happen. My friend of a friend was accosted by 3 men trying to harass her and rob her. Just in the middle of the day, just in the middle of the street. Like, it's huge for that to happen. The only thing I'd ever heard of like 6 or 7 years ago was one man was confronted by 2 teenage kids, or like so maybe they're in their 20s, like maybe, literally like 19 and 20, really young. And they said, give me your wallet. And he kind of freaked out and did it. And they just had a knife. It was like the worst thing had happened. And then the next day, a posse was rounded up of Ecuadorians, and they went looking for these guys because they knew that they were from Guayaquil. They weren't from anywhere else. They said, because people from Cuenca just don't do that. I mean, that was what the reputation was of this city for decades. I mean, for forever, So, I don't know. The world is changing everywhere. I can't just say I'm scared of my country when it's starting to happen here. Things are happening here. Things are happening all over. A friend of mine just spent a whole summer in Spain, and she was thinking about moving there. And not summer, the whole month of May. And she just said, you know what, though? The crime rates are going up, and things are getting scary, and it's super harsh winters and super hot summers, and I might as well stay in Cuenca where the weather's mild. What was I thinking wanting to go there? Like, to live. I'm like, yeah, I know I want to go to Italy. I'd like to go to Spain. I've thought about those places too, but I don't want another super harsh winter, and I don't want really hot summers either. There's a couple beach towns here that the weather is so mild. It's like Cuenca, but it's, it's maybe 10 degrees more than what we have here. So on a 60-degree day here, it's like 70 there, and it never gets over 80 or 81. It's only for about a week or two that's that hot. Right on the beach. And it looks like its little town looks just like California did in the 1950s. Hardly any buildings. Beautiful, clean, sweet people. I mean, not that I was there, but I mean, that's what some of these old folks say to me. The old codgers running around going, oh yeah, I remember Los Angeles in the 50s. Well, this place looks like that. I'm just kidding. I've never talked to old codgers about that. I did read an article in the paper about it once, so anyway. All right, let's get to it, guys. We are at 98 on the Ascension Symptoms Scale, so we're still pretty high up there. I mean, that might be why I was lounging around in bed all day. I mean, that or the fact that I'm so empathic with the people, and I feel their pain. I just want to take all their pain from them. I just want to love each and every person that I saw. I saw a man in a wheelchair. He spoke English and Spanish, and he spoke to me in perfect English, like with an American accent. But he was from Colombia, and he's in a wheelchair. And I'm like, I feel so sad for this guy. I mean, I was in a wheelchair for 8 months, so I know what it feels like to be in a chair and the way people look at you and how they look at you differently. Like, from when I was walking around to when I was in a wheelchair, people are so afraid that they will not look you in the eye. They look past you. They'll turn around real quick and look the opposite direction as if you can't see them. They will, if they do talk to you, it's like you're like a little kid. Oh, what do we have here? How's your day? It's like, what? If I was walking around, you'd be like, hey, what's going on? Hey, what's happening? Why are you talking to me like I'm a little kid? And people talk to old people like that too. Hey, how are you doing? It's like, just because they're old doesn't mean they're stupid. And I don't know, it's just, but everyone does it. It's so strange, but I got to see that. And so I saw this guy and I just said, hi, how are you? I said, hola, ¿cómo estás? ¿Qué tal? And he smiled and he spoke to me in English. I went, oh, wow, you speak English. You have really good English. He's like, thank you. And he was I could tell that he was just bored out of his mind because, bureaucracy and you're waiting for freaking 5-6 hours for an appointment you made a year ago. And I could tell that just talking to him, he felt heard and loved and looked at and seen, It's like sometimes you just want to be seen. I don't ever want to be seen, but when I was in a wheelchair, I wanted to be acknowledged, and no one looked at me, like, at all. Except for the guys who, I don't know what their deal was. They tried to come on to me while I was in a wheelchair. I'm like, are you kidding me right now? It's like, that's so weird. What is wrong with you? Like, is it because you want to know where I am at all times? You just put my brakes on? It was so strange. And one guy did say, well, you have a broken leg, and it's obvious that you're not going to be in this position forever, so I just thought you were cute. And I'm like, oh, cool. But everyone else that had kind of said stuff to me, I was like, I don't know. It was weird. It was just like a little strange, like, especially when I covered my legs up and they couldn't tell why I was in the chair. They don't know if I'm like paralyzed. They don't know what the deal is. It's like, really? That's weird. I don't know. But it was nice to be recognized, at least. A couple times it happened. And so, anyway, but I took I took everyone's pain on when I was there, and I knew I was doing it, and I was just like, if I could hug every single person in here and make their life happy and, do something to make them feel better. It's like I left my country voluntarily, not because of a war or, the possibility of starvation, or in a way I did for that one, but not to the extent the Venezuelans, not even close. And my heart is always there with them. Anyway, I was recovering. It was like 2 or 3 days now. I've been just in bed, sleeping and sleeping and sleeping. Okay, it's been 2 days, but it's like I can't get out of bed. Can't stop sleeping. I'm like, maybe tomorrow we'll go to the store. I'm telling my son, we have some lamb chops in the freezer. We could just unfreeze them. That will be our dinner. And he actually made it for me because it was just like, I couldn't get out of bed. He even made rice. I'm like, oh my God, thank God my kid knows how to cook. He's not going to die of starvation because I can't get out of bed. Yeah, no, I'm glad both my kids are very, very independent, thank God. So yeah, the 98 on the Ascension Symptoms Scale, and the symptoms have been ramping up. And Amber White was talking about it, and Aja Andromeda a little bit talked about it. But I feel like I didn't really go over what the Ascension symptoms are from the various sources like I normally do, but I know that a lot of it still has to do with the emotions and weird memories that come up. Right before I started recording this, I had a weird interaction I'd had with a lady. Hadn't thought about it practically since the day it happened, and it came up, and it was like we had been invited to an art party, and I asked her what she does. Oh, so what do you do for a living, or what do you do, And I know it's kind of a boring question, but, I'm, just trying to get to know her or whatever. I don't know this woman. She was just sitting in the corner kind of with a huffy attitude. Did you guys ever heard that word? My stepmom used to say that. Oh, don't be huffy with me. Is that even a thing? Anyway, I understood what she meant when she said it and the way she said it. Yeah. But this lady had kind of like an attitude, and she's sitting in the corner. And I thought, well, maybe I'll draw her out a little bit. Maybe I'll be nice to her. Maybe she's just shy or scared, and I don't know. And the empath in me wanting to make everyone feel comfortable. So I just said, so, what do you do? And she goes, I'm an artist. like all kind of short. I'm like, oh, that's so neat. I'm like, well, do you mind talking about it? Like, what kind of art do you do? And she goes, well, I work with the fiber arts. And I'm like, the what, how, no, who now, what? The fiber arts? You know, I'm ignorant. I don't know what this means. I'm like, so fiber arts? She's like, yeah, I work with fibers. I'm like, so you mean like knitting and crocheting? Or is there something else I'm missing that I don't know about? I want to know about it. It sounds interesting. And she's like, well, yeah, that, but other things too. And she's just like, she wouldn't talk to me at all. I'm like, all right, well, cool. It sounds cool. Well, good luck with that. She's like, say that she had like art hanging in a gallery or something. I'm like, well, good for you. That's awesome. You know, I was just trying to be nice, dude. I'm so sorry. Hadn't thought about that since probably 18 years, 17 years, something like that. And that popped into my head right before I started recording this. I'm like, oh yeah, that one weird lady that, you know, she might have been a normal person, but that day she was acting really weird. I feel like now possibly the rest of the story might have been that the person who was throwing the party, she had like a weird passive aggressive thing. And she was like one of my friends, like instantly one of those people you just connect with. And I loved her so much. And all of a sudden she would just like turn on me and just be like she invited us over and she said, how about you guys come over every Tuesday, you know, afternoon, and we'll hang out and the kids can play together and blah, blah, blah. And we're like, that'd be so great because we really like you and you're a really cool person. And we went twice in a row and everything was cool. Went a third time and she had invited another little girl over and they disincluded my kid and it was just really awkward. And then she called and said the next week we couldn't do it because she was moving, but then in 2 weeks come back. And we came back in 2 weeks and then she started complaining that we're there at her house all the time. And it hadn't seen her in 2 weeks. And she made it sound like we're there eating her out at House and Home, but every time we went, we brought her $40 worth of groceries. Every single time. You know, she was a single mom. She was almost 50 years old with a 4-year-old. She didn't even know she could get pregnant. It was a total surprise. She hadn't had her period in years. Then she finally had a period and boom, got pregnant. And she was like, what the heck happened there? She's like, I didn't think it was even possible anymore. I've met a couple people this happened to, so I'm getting a little scared. I don't want that to happen to me, but it is still possible. It's always possible. But she had this thing where she would like just turn on you out of nowhere. I had gotten involved in a business and I got her involved in the business, and then the business screwed everybody over and she blamed me. And I'm like, I didn't start the business. I didn't screw anyone over. I'm sitting here just as screwed over as you are, or maybe worse, because I invested more time and money into the business. So, you know, but then a new business came along and I got involved with that. And that business supported me for like 4 years. So, you know, it's just, and she wouldn't go to the new business and she stopped being my friend because of it. So it was like, she was that kind of a person where she'd just love you today, hate you tomorrow, and maybe the next day kind of be okay with you. And I think the woman in the fiber arts world might have been at the brunt of that right before everybody showed up. So she was in a really weird state of mind. Now that I look back on it, I think that might be part of what was going on there. Like maybe on a normal day, she'd been a really cool person, but that day she was just like, maybe had gotten into a fight with her. And she even left like 30 minutes into the party, and it was like a 5-hour party. I don't know. So I feel like things like that, like weird little nitpicky, bizarre little instances where you had like a, that was weird, you know, sort of moment. I feel like those kind of moments are going to start coming up, like weird old crap from the past. And I'm kind of getting the idea right now that maybe it's not always just from you, and it could be from the other person, that maybe they're trying to work out what the hell happened from their end when they think about you. So you might be thinking about it because they're thinking about it, if that makes any sense. Another weird thing is right before I thought about that, I started thinking about my old neighbor, who I never think about. And as I was thinking about him, I saw him laughing and joking and hanging out in a garden with my husband who died. And I just realized, holy crap, my neighbor died, my old neighbor. And then I asked my higher guidance, and I was told, yeah, he died a little bit ago, like a couple months ago. And he just got out of the stasis. We always go into this kind of like a stasis where we're just being held and loved and cocooned, and we're not really aware of anything. And so that could take for years. My mom that died, my birth mom, is still, I think she's still in the stasis. She's just like, my grandma and grandpa, her parents came and visited me. Their spirits came to talk to me. And my mom is just nowhere to be found. They're like, what happened to your mom? I'm like, I have no idea. She's up there somewhere. She's either in the cocooning room or staring into the face of God forever. That's what she said her plan was when she died. Everyone gets to do what they want to do, and that's what my mom wanted to do. So it's kind of crazy. I don't know. So I think that a lot of stuff from the past is coming back to be resolved right now. That's the feeling that I get. On the Why So Serious channel, she was saying that she felt all of the energy coming to us from the cosmos is a very dark blue. That's what I've been saying for weeks, that the clouds are so dark blue. And she said that that's healing our bodies. What did she say now? She said a specific thing that's healing. I want to say maybe nervous system. I don't know. I mean, God had just said, a week or two ago that it was going to be our RNA. Was it God? No, it was Doriel. So I think it said our RNA is being healed. That's already done. But the Why So Serious lady, she was saying that it's going to happen a lot more, like healing is coming. So all of our emotional stuff. So if we still have layers, we're still uncovering stuff. Like the things I uncovered today wasn't anything that really hurt my feelings for a long time. It didn't cause psychological damage. I just was wondering why that lady was kind of mean to me. But then I realized today that had nothing to do with me. So weird little instances that you maybe took personally for a few minutes and then you kind of shook it off and went along. It might have subconsciously stuck with you. So if that's the case, possibly, you might get that this next week. Just shake it off and just go, okay, cool, whatever, it's over. Thank God it's over. And you know what? God bless that person. God asked me today about the pen light lady incident. He's like, do you love her? I'm like, well, I'm not exactly fond of her right now, but yeah, I do. I love everybody. It's why I chose to give her the lesson I gave her. I didn't just react as a knee-jerk reaction. I sat there for an hour and thought about what to say and do first. It's like, honestly, she could, and I did get some feedback on that from one of my listeners, and my she's becoming a friend of mine, and Michelle, and she said, just to be honest with you, I mean, you if you had been somebody else who had, serious issues being woke up, I mean, she could have been punched, she could have been killed, she could have been, anything. I started thinking about it. My oldest went through a phase where she was having nightmares, and if you went to go to wake her up, she would punch you or kick you in the head. And she was really fast and really strong. And one time she choked me. I gently touched her face. I'm all, hey, sweetie, time to wake up. And she just had this look of rage on her face, and she threw her hands around my neck and started to choke me. And it took me a couple of minutes to fully waken her. And then she was like, oh my God, Mom, I'm so sorry. I was like, I was like, what the hell? I'm like, from now on, I'm going to wake you with a 10-foot pole. I'm not going near you ever, or I'm just going to let you sleep. It was like so ridiculous. And she was going through that phase. When we're going to go over this in a minute, she's in the very beginning of this where kids have to start to sleep long hours for their bodies to grow and their brains to develop. So she's in that where she's like sleeping all the time. And I was just like, hey, we got to go now. And we should wake up swinging, or like I'd have to like duck. Sometimes I'd wear a helmet, wear my bike helmet just so she wouldn't hit me in the head. It was like so ridiculous. And it took her about a year, and then she was through it. She had just had a lot of nightmares, and then they were gone after a while. But but yeah, it's true. I mean, this lady, what she did, like, she's lucky I didn't react in a worse way. I was like, actually, for the most part, pretty calm, pretty relaxed, in a good mood when I went to sleep. If I had been uptight and scared, intense, I mean, I might have just kicked her across the room. I mean, without even thinking about it. But, so maybe I did her a favor. She's not going to screw with anybody else. She's not going to get hurt. But God asked me, do you love her? I'm like, yeah, I mean, I love everybody. And he goes, well, it doesn't mean you have to bring her home for supper. I'm like, yeah, that's fact. I'm never going to hang out with her ever. Thank you, God, that I don't have to see her again. But, I mean, I love her as far as I love everyone on the planet, like impersonally, and in general, probably give her the sweat off my balls if she was thirsty. Sorry, I don't have balls, but I do. They're huge and on my chest. No, I'm just kidding. All right, enough of the inappropriate yoga humor. First time I heard that, I mean, I think I laughed for an hour. One of my friends said that to me once when I was like a teenager. I could not believe that came out of my friend's mouth. I can't believe you said that to me. I hate that guy so much. I wouldn't give him the sweat off my balls if he was thirsty. I couldn't believe my friend said that. I was like, no way. That was like so colorful. All right. 17, no, I'm sorry. We can start at 10 o'clock UTC time. Schumann Resonance. Today's chart shows a sparse activity, but with amplitude values greater than the last days. The first peak occurred around 20 UTC time yesterday, reached 36 hertz. This is the strongest so far. A second peak of lower amplitude but longer duration occurred from 7 to 9:30 hertz. I mean, oh my God. 7 to 9:30 a.m. UTC time ongoing, and the maximum amplitude did reach 22 hertz at 9 a.m. 1700 report. The day continued with moderate activity. The strongest peak remained the one shown just before 2 a.m. Tomsk time, corresponding to yesterday's 20 UTC previously reported. Today at 1400 UTC, there was another 20 hertz peak at 14. Why are they like repeating themselves? I think they're tired too. See, it's probably affecting them too. It's not just the Schumann resonance affecting us. It's the Ascension symptoms that we're getting from gasma. What the hell am I talking about? See, that's part of it. I missed a lot of words today, and I was trying to write down words, and I was just like, I kept spelling the word tiny, T-Y-N-Y. I'm like, what? I like write it down, and then I cross it out, and I write it down wrong again, cross it out. It's 3 or 4 words. I'm like, what is wrong with me? I just think I'm just very, very tired. I think that we're being rewired in our mind, and it's functioning. I mean, look, there it is again. Our mental functioning is going down a little bit. Anyway, all in all, the hertz frequency that was the topper in the past 24 hours was only 36 hertz. Doesn't mean that it is the only thing affecting us, though. Okay, lesson 15 in A Course in Miracles. I got to get through this. I'm already 40 minutes in to the first half of the show. Okay. Lesson 15 is my thoughts are images that I have made. Now remember, before it's like I see a meaningless world. Everything I see has no meaning, and I see a meaningless world, but God did not make a meaningless world. So everything in the outer world are thoughts I've given to things. So what I see is my perceptions of what's happening, but it doesn't mean that it's real. It's not what the real reality is. If the real reality were showing to all of us and we had no preconceived or ill-conceived notions, we would live in a world of peace, love, and harmony and joy already. So I'm going to read the first paragraph and then we're going to get going and you guys are going to hear my 1.5 minute commercial. And then we're going to get right on into From the Cell Clock, Circadian Rhythms episode. So, okay, lesson 15. My thoughts are images that I have made. It is because the thoughts you think appears images that you do not recognize them as nothing. I can say that again because that was confusing, right? It is because the thoughts you think appears images that you do not recognize them as nothing. You think them, and so you think you see them. This is how your quote-unquote seeing was made. This is the function you have given your body's eyes. It is not seeing. It is image making. It takes the place of seeing, replacing vision with illusions. Crazy, right? I mean, this stuff is crazy. You have to see the whole thing. A Course in Miracles is found on many, many websites because it is in the public domain, but also acim.org, or you could just go buy the books. Used bookstores usually have them. All right, guys. I'm going to take a quick break, and when I come back, we're going to get into the rhythms of the body clocks. If you're listening to this, you obviously like podcasts, and you probably like music too. Long walks on the beach, romantic dancing under the stars, and oh wait, we're not doing that right now. On Spotify, you can listen to all of that in one place for free, and you don't even need a premium account, which is cool. Free is always good. Spotify has a huge catalog of podcasts on every topic, including the one you're listening to right now. On Spotify, you can follow your favorite podcasts so you never miss an episode. Download episodes to listen to offline wherever you are, including your long romantic walks on the beach. Also, one thing I love about Spotify is that you can easily share what you're listening to with your friends via Spotify's integrations with the social platforms like Instagram. So that makes it really, really versatile. Just search for Metaphysical Soul Speak on the Spotify app or browse podcasts in the Your Library tab. And follow me, of course, don't forget, so that you'll never again miss an episode of Metaphysical Soul Speak. Spotify is the world's leading music streaming service, and now it can be your go-to for podcasts too. Thank you guys so much for supporting Metaphysical Soul Speak on Spotify. All right, guys, so this is From the Cell Clock, Circadian Rhythms and the body clocks. That might be a little too long for the title. I'm probably going to put a different title on this. But what I'm going to talk about is the rhythms of your body and your cells. We're going to start with circadian rhythms first, though. Now, basically, the way that the human body works, and everyone's body, no matter if you are a yeast cell or a piece of celery or a fly or a rat, everything that is living, no matter what kind of life form it is, it has a clock, an internal rhythm, a clock. And it goes about its life in these cycles. And these scientists discovered that after studying yeast and mice and flies, houseflies, they discovered that everything has kind of a life cycle. Like a day for a fly can range from 19 to 28 hours, depending on the kind of fly, I guess. And humans tend to have on average, 24 to 24 and a half hour cycle, that our bodies do everything that they do within a 24-hour period. But some things have a smaller cycle, just depends on what it is. So basically, for humans, every 24 hours, the whole body has a schedule. Each cell has a special time when it does, what it does. We have trillions of cells in our body. And so when you think that every cell has a different time to do whatever it is that it does, and all the specialized cells do different things at different times, like your eye cells do what they do at a certain time of the day, and your eyelash cells might have a whole nother schedule. Your stomach has a different schedule than your lungs. It sounds really weird, right? But scientists they're still trying to map this out. They don't even have it all mapped out, I don't think, yet. They do know quite a bit, though. So what I was able to uncover in my research for hours and hours today, it's what I'm going to tell you guys tonight. So the first clock genes were discovered in 1971 by Ronald Konopka and Seymour Bezer. They named these family of clock genes PER, P-E-R-Y. I have no freaking clue. It makes no sense, right? It should have just been, hello, clock genes? But anyway, they named them PER, P-E-R. Okay. What they learned during their research is that everything has a rise and a fall in a rhythmic manner. That happens every day the same, pretty much, more or less. And these are circadian rhythms. That was pretty much all they discovered. But they discovered it through, witnessing it in many life forms. Well, okay, 1972, one whole year later, researchers discovered that there was a tiny patch of cells in a part of the brain called the suprachiasmatic nucleus. I went to human anatomy class and I did not hear the word suprachiasmatic. I heard it as the suprachiasma. Maybe I'm on a different timeline. Maybe it's called something else here. We're going to call it the suprachiasma because that's what I learned. But this is the nucleus of the hypothalamus gland in your brain, which is responsible for your, your circadian rhythms and other bodily regulations. It's kind of like your body clock. So mammals generally all tend to have a 24-hour circadian rhythm, more or less. And for years, your circadian rhythms will control all of your rhythms of your body. Or at least that's what they thought for years. But no, guess what, guys? Each individual cell has a clock inside it. And they discovered that rhythms, circadian or otherwise, do not need a brain and they do not need a body. Oh, there's so many jokes I can make right there. But moving right along. Rhythms don't need a brain. Rhythms don't need a body. They were able to, I guess, take a few cells from rats and grow them in a petri dish, and the cells that were growing away from the brain and away from the body still had their own natural rhythms about them. So pretty weird, right? So every cell has a clock, and what the clock does is it's like an alarm clock, and it tells the cell when is it time to use the energy, when is it time to rest, when is it time to repair DNA, and when is it time for us to just replicate new DNA to recreate a new cell like us. And what happens is inside the cell, the DNA, the proteins gather. For DNA is comprised of 4. I'm not going to get into it, but it's GCAT, and it's in various, it could be TACG, CATG, whatever. But see, I'm already getting into too much. So basically how it works is we have the double helix, and on each line of code, it's like lines of code, it's these 4 things over and over again, but in different combinations. In their proteins. I mean, when you take amino acids, you're taking these 4 proteins along with 22 others together when you're a bodybuilder. Again, getting into too much information. Sorry about that, guys. So basically, these little proteins, the strands of DNA, they get together and they kind of jumble up in the center of the cell every day at the same time. And it's almost like they're communicating, like a gathering, a meeting of people. They're going, let's do this and this and this and da-da-da-da-da, and break. And then, boom, you wake up. Or, boom, it's time to take a boom boom. I just had to say that because that was hilarious. But, yeah, like when you have to take a bowel movement, that's because those cells decided, all right, time to do that. Let's head them out. Round them up and head them out. Get along, little doggy. But that's what happens. Well, more or less. They probably don't actually talk. Not in the way that I talk. I'm kind of on a weird one today. Probably all that resting. It just really got me, well rested, I suppose. I don't know. I'm still sleepy a little bit. So basically, when are we going to use energy and get up and do the thing we do? When are we going to rest and just kind of shut off for the hour or the rest of the day or the night? When are we going to repair the DNA that's damaged? Because, DNA gets damaged all the time. I mean, you smoke a cigarette, you just damage a lot of DNA. So now that it's time for them to repair it. Solar flash happens. Oh man, now we got to probably replicate the DNA. Maybe it's too damaged. And then it replicates in a new way. And that's how we're evolving. Okay, so here's an example of what I'm talking about. So when hair cells divide, they only divide, this is what they've discovered, hair cells only divide in the evening. Never in the morning, never in the afternoon. Every day in the evening. So what they decided is if they give cancer patients radiation at night, they're going to have less hair loss than if they are given the radiation in the morning. Really weird, right? And it's just because of when the cells of the scalp are being activated, and it's always at night. And there is an old Native American, you could call it a wives' tale, but now that we've read this, we know there's something real to it. I grew up always hearing that if you braid your hair at night and you sleep on your braids, that's what's going to grow your hair longer and longer and longer, faster. If you just braid your hair and you go to sleep on time, your hair only grows at night. Native Americans have known that forever. It's like just common knowledge in the native world, but something scientists just discovered recently. Oh, God, I love when that happens. It's so strange. So, something else they discovered is that liver enzymes, the enzymes that you need to digest your food properly and to break it down into all the components so that each packet of food, say like a piece of bread, you eat the bread, your body will extract the proteins and the carbohydrates and the fats and the salts and the waste byproducts that it doesn't need. And it separates it into different things. And then each packet of these things are taken to different parts of your body for further, separation. It's like a bureaucracy inside your body. It's so weird. Like the kidneys can only deal with the salts, and the gallbladder only deals with the fats. It's just very, very, very specified. But the liver enzymes only turn on and come online right before it's time to eat your dinner, which makes sense because that's how it helps you to digest your food. So if you eat your dinner super early or super late, you're going to miss that opportunity. So blood pressure during the day will rise and fall at different points during the day. And what's really weird, something that they discovered, is that all the cells in the body have a time clock in them, except for two kinds of cells that they've discovered so far do not have a time clock. Sperm cells, that are the embryonic stem cells before they're fully maturated sperm cells. Those stem cells in the body, they don't know what they are yet. If they don't know what they are yet, how can they have a clock to do what they do when they don't know what they do yet? They're waiting around to get their orders. They don't know what kind of cell they're going to become. So when they become mature sperm, then they're just sperm. But sperm don't have a clock either. Maybe that's why men are horny all the time. I don't know. The sperm's like, let's go, go, go. And they don't really have any other format to... I don't know. It's pretty strange, right? Now, the only other kind of cell in the body that does not have a time clock where it turns on and does its business for an hour or whatever, and then goes back to sleep, is cancer cells. Because cancer cells are maladjusted. They are like an anomaly. They're damaged cells, and they grow out of control because they don't have a clock, and they want to survive, so they just keep dividing and dividing and dividing, which is why people end up with cancer that spreads, because there is no clock inside the cell. So they discovered, this one lady has discovered something that these two types of cells have that the other cells don't have. So she's finding a way now to eliminate that from cancer cells. And if she could do that, she could stop the growth of cancer. She'll probably win a Nobel Prize if she's able to figure it out. I'm certain she'll be able to figure it out, because she got this lightning flash one night, and it was like, oh wait, this is a whole different kind of cell. I've never seen this before. And she started putting things together in a way that was very special. So For the life of me, I can't remember her name. I'm so sorry. But you can look it up. This article I got from Wired magazine is a reprint from Quant magazine. So you can just look it up in Quant magazine if you want. I'm trying to give you guys a little bit the watered down version because it's so intricate. Just so... For a lot of you, it's going to be just so boring. It was not 100% boring for me, but very detailed. And it was a bit much. So... I'm trying to get through it in a way that's obvious and easier to understand, at least from what they had written. So, right. Okay. So when there are mutations to those clock genes, what happens during the mutations is it causes illness in the body. So when you have an illness of any kind, it's because the clock part of your genetic code in those genes has been mutated, has been kind of messed up. And this includes things like metabolic disorders and cancer, as well as other things. But there are certain times to do certain activities. And if you know this information, I'm going to give you all the information I was able to find, then you're going to be able to be healthier and you might have less mutations in your clock genes and you will end up, living longer and being healthier. So eating, when is the best time to eat? When your body is the most active during the 8 hours so you have to figure out during your day, what are your most active hours? Which third of your day are you up and most active? I mean, I start around between 12:30 and 2:30 in the afternoon is when I get up and start my day, usually, when left to my own devices. Sometimes I have to function with the rest of the world who decided to have an arbitrary schedule that, it just coincides with the sun. It just seems arbitrary to me. The sun's up, I might as well be too. Yeah, no, I don't think. I don't buy that story, baby. I just don't. I mean, the sunrise is beautiful, but when I see it, it's because I've been up all night, and then I see it, and then I go to bed. That's just me, though. So, so during the most 8 hours that you personally are active, that's when you're supposed to eat. If you can do it that way, you will lower your blood sugar, you'll lower your cholesterol, and you will be thinner overall than if you try to eat on someone else's schedule, or if you just decide that 3 a.m. is the best time for you to eat your big, huge dinner. That's not going to fare well for your body, But if you have your biggest meal in the day should be taken at right after you wake up, within a couple hours of when you wake up. Which for me puts me at like dinner time for the rest of the world. It's kind of funny. Okay, so if you eat more in the morning and less at night, that's going to help your body and work more with your body clocks. Because the more you eat in the morning, now you can have a lot of energy for the day, and at night you don't need as much energy because you're going to go to sleep. So what you need to do is kind of wind it down by eating a smaller meal, because then your body starts to shut down and all your clocks are shutting down all those cells. And that's why sometimes you just don't digest your food. If you eat a lot of food, like a heavy meal, kind of later in the night, it's not going to work out for you. Usually, you just kept indigestion. You can be like, oh, and I can't eat. Like in the afternoon, the next day, you still haven't had your breakfast because you're just like, man, I have not digested that food yet. That's because you ate too late and too much, because of your biological clocks that are ticking in every single one of your cells. So, as far as sleeping is concerned, and one of my favorite topics here, there are naturally occurring in every human being 2 separate sleeps per day. Everybody needs to take 2 sleeps a day. Most people don't. Some whole countries do. In Ecuador, it is tradition for people who go to a job to come home for a 2-hour lunch. Usually that's when families will traditionally gather together and they'll just hang out. They have a big lunch and they will talk. Kids will come home from school for 2 hours and they'll hang out. And this is what I read in an article, but when I talked to the school people, that wasn't even true at all. But the kids do come home around 2 or 3 in the afternoon. They don't ever have a longer day. They don't have like the stay after school programs or whatever like they do in the U.S. because everyone has to work to make their bills in the U.S. But it's a little bit different here. Kids do go home between 2:30 to 3. But they come home and take a 2-hour rest, have a long leisurely lunch, and take an afternoon nap for an hour, and then go back to work. Mexico is known for the afternoon siestas, which has given them a reputation for laziness, which is a really wrong stereotype. I lived in Mexico, and the people that I knew that had shops, they got up an hour before the sun, and they started scrubbing down the sidewalks, cleaning the streets with brooms, literally. Opening up their businesses, they dust and polish everything. They clean their floors. I mean, they work their butts off before the sun comes up. And they work long into the night after the sun goes down. My kids were like, wow, well, there's a stereotype blown for us. We're going to spread the word far and wide. Mexican people are not lazy. They are some of the hardest working people on the planet. And that's absolutely a fact. I knew a lot of shop owners, a lot of business owners. And I mean, those fishermen, they're out there at 3 o'clock in the morning, just getting ready, and they're catching the fish. When the sun comes up, the fish market is already going strong in Puerto Escondido. I mean, and the only time I was ever at the beach during the sunrise was because I was up all night. And I couldn't sleep and I had insomnia, so I'm just walking around with my kid, and he had his guitar, and we're just like walking around talking to people that were all drunk and couldn't sleep either. But that's when we saw the fish market. We were like, oh my God, it's so magical. It was so beautiful. I couldn't believe it. The people were up so early. Like, why you got to be up so early? And I had a friend who told me different times of the day will bring different kinds of fish, and different parts of the ocean have different kinds of fish at different times of the day. Isn't that interesting? So he says, okay, mommy, you tell me you want your red snapper at, I'll have to go at 4 o'clock in the morning or 4 o'clock in the afternoon for the red snapper. And he told me exactly what part of the ocean in the Caribbean Sea. Where is he going to find the red snapper? He says, but if you tell me you want tuna, I have to go farther out earlier in the day. And then he just told me where all the fish were, all the different kinds of fish. I was absolutely blown away. He says, I am a man of the sea. I know everything about the sea. I have fished here my whole life. And this is my tradition in my family. He even said, I lost my wife to the sea. She went out fishing. They were going to go in shifts because they had a lot of catch for the restaurants. They would catch whatever the restaurants told them. They would go out and they knew what to look for, where to go, and just boom, boom, boom. They had it down, and they would go deliver fresh caught, within the last hour, in most cases, to the restaurants. I mean, that's incredible, right? It's like most people get in their boat, they tool around the lake or the ocean all day long. Hope I catch something. And no one really knows what goes where, when, how. Is there any function to anything? And here in the Caribbean, they know everything. They know where everything is. It's like going, he said to me, Mommy, the sea is a grocery store to me. I just know where the aisles are and what's on them, what's on the shelves. It's incredible, right? I couldn't believe I met somebody like this. It made me super, super happy. He is an incredible person. So, all right. This is very strange regarding sleep, okay? Now, when you take your 2 sleeps per day, usually you take the long sleep at night and you should have a short sleep in the daytime. And that's why a lot of people are nodding off after lunch. Your body is telling you, hey, it's time to take your afternoon sleep. Take your nap. It's not just for kindergartners anymore. It's actually for your health. So if you're in a position where you could just like lay down, bring a mat to work or put a mattress in the back of your pickup truck, go outside and take a nap for an hour. It's the best thing that you could do for your body and your brain, especially after you eat your afternoon meal. It all works together like that. You get hungry and then you get sleepy. It's like if you follow what your body wants, you're never going to go wrong, right? So, I found out that before the age of 10, everybody is a morning person. And then after the age of 10, they will sleep later in the morning or sleep later at night and wake up later in the morning. And then at the age of 20, everything starts to reverse again. So 20-year-olds will start to wake up earlier and earlier again, and then they go to bed earlier. But teenagers sleep a long time. They sometimes sleep in the afternoons. This is one reason I decided to homeschool my kids. I wanted them to be healthy. And one of the key components to being healthy is just sleeping when your body is ready to sleep. I don't care if it's 2 in the afternoon or, 9 in the morning, whatever your body needs. When you need to sleep, if you have the luxury to do so, sleep. Because it's how your hormones function. It's how your cells replenish and rejuvenate. It's how everything, the life cycle and rhythms inside you will regulate themselves so that you have perfect health. So teenagers are better in the afternoon as far as brain function is concerned. That's why I think teenagers should be able to sleep until noon. They really should. They should be able to sleep until noon and go to school in the afternoon. In fact, when I put my youngest, he wanted to go to school in Colombia. So in Medellin, we took him to the school, and CDI, I think it was CDI, no. Never mind, I can't remember the name of the school right now. But he went to the school, and he was so happy, and he loved the school. The kids were amazing. But the thing that amazed me the most is because of his age, because he was in beginning high school. They said that it's in the afternoon only. I was like, no way. So school was, I think, from 2 o'clock in the afternoon until 7 o'clock at night or something like that. And it was still sunny and, warm and sunny there. And the sun, it was still bright in the sky at 7. Maybe it was 1 to 6. It was after 12. It was 12:30 to 1. He would have to be bothered to go to school. So he'd get up around 11 and have his breakfast, and sometimes he would we lived in a hostel, and the hostel's owner, his mom was the maid, and she was the sweetest, most amazing, happy person. And she would just, She's only supposed to make breakfast until 10 o'clock, and after that, no. But my kid would get up at 11, she'd go, let me make you breakfast, what do you want me to do? And sometimes she wouldn't even charge us. She'd be like, I just love him so much. And, her son was the owner of the hostel, and he was like older than me, so she missed having a little one around. It made her happy to cook for him. I'm like, oh, let me give you money, please. And she was one of the prettiest, sweetest, most amazing people in the world. Just wonderful. But she knew, he needed his sleep. So she broke the rules because she knows what teenagers are like. And it's just how it is. I mean, they do better work in the afternoon. It's when their brains function more. Now, when you're 55 or older, you start to sleep again like a 10-year-old, where you become a morning person and you wake up and sleep earlier. I don't believe it. I'm going to be 51 this year. I don't believe it. I'm still not a morning person, but we'll see. It'll be cool if I could start to get up a little bit earlier than 2 in the afternoon or noon. I'm usually up around noon 30. I don't know. Sometimes I get up at 10:30, but I mean, then the next day I have to sleep extra. It's just, the whole sleeping thing's crazy. So exercise, your body cells will do better, and they turn on in the ways that need to be turned on for you to have more health if you exercise in the afternoon or early evening. Because every record that's ever been broken in the world, as far as Olympic records go, have always occurred in the afternoon or the evening. Now, this is the time in which you're going to have less pain. Your body will have less chance of being injured. It's not, your muscles aren't cold and stiff from sleeping. They've been moving around all day. So in the late afternoon to early evening is the best time to exercise. So I also think, and I didn't read this in the article, but I feel that this is also when you're going to have the most recovery times after a workout, because those genes are turned on at that moment, at those moments after you work out in the late afternoon to evening. That's when you're going to have a faster recovery time as well. Now, if you wait to like the late evening and then you work out vigorously, it will actually keep you awake and up all night, and that can break your circadian rhythm schedule, and that's not good. So try to keep it to your late afternoon, early evening time slot. And don't work out too vigorously. If you want to go swimming, like hardcore, my kind of swimming is just kind of lounging around and moving my arms every now and again. And I mean, even from that, I get pretty muscular pretty fast, but but I don't know, if you want to work out super rigorously, probably in the morning is better for you. If you want to do like the butterfly stroke 20 times back and forth across the pool, don't do that in the evening. Do that in the morning. So for me to do a butterfly stroke, what that means is that I'm literally petting a butterfly. Ha ha. Like petting a cat, like stroking a cat. That's for me, that's what a butterfly stroke is. I don't know how to do the other one. So basically, when you're in your morning, your blood pressure is at its highest. That is the other reason why not to exercise in the morning, because you will either increase your blood pressure, and if you already have high blood pressure, that could be a problem. Oh yeah, I just thought of something. That's when my uncle went running. It was in the morning, and he dropped dead of a heart attack at that moment. So yeah, that's probably, shouldn't have been doing that, Uncle Carl. Yeah, that does make sense, doesn't it? Weird. Okay. I think that's what my aunt told me. I know he was jogging and he dropped dead, and took hours before people found him, and it's kind of horrible. But he had been really overweight his whole life, and he'd gotten really thin and in great shape. And he started jogging, and that was his thing. And he did that in the mornings and before he went to work. And don't do that in the morning, guys. No, sleep in. Anyway, in the afternoon is when you have a drop in your blood pressure. And it makes it a little bit easier for everything to function. If you exercise in the afternoon, it will reduce your blood pressure. So if you have high blood pressure, it's going to already be automatically a little bit lower in the afternoon, and then you exercise then, you're going to lower it even further. So it's pretty cool. So if you exercise in the night, you can actually reduce your blood pressure by 10%, up to 11%. So I thought that was pretty interesting. Now here's another weird one. Your, why did I put two different times. I wrote 3 to 6 p.m. Oh yeah, exercising. You're supposed to exercise between 3 and 6 p.m. Those are the optimal times for most people, for most exercises. It's 3 to 6 p.m. That's the best time. Now, at 5 p.m., this is the time during the day in which your lungs function better. In fact, your lungs function better at 5 o'clock at night by 17%. Your lungs function better by 17% at 5 o'clock at night. Do you guys remember when I told you that there was a study done years and years and years ago, decades ago, in fact, that most asthmatics die between 3 and 5 a.m.? Yeah. And your lungs function best in the afternoon, in the evening, 5 p.m. And that's why I'm afraid to go to bed sometimes because of that. I'm just like, oh, I don't know. I mean, when I heard that, it started to really affect me, and it's never not affected me. It's very weird. Now, your muscle strength will have its peaks between 2 o'clock and 6 o'clock in the afternoon. So if you exercise between 3 and 6, you're good to go. Even from 2 to 3, that's good. Now, if you do afternoon exercise between 2 and 6, you will sleep better. Now, as far as your work and your thinking, so if you're going to work, when is the best time for you to work? Now, if you are a morning person, that's good. That means that you are very analytic. You could do your work and your problem solving, answering of questions, and all of your decision making, and including filtering out distractions to make those decisions easier and better and with a sharper, clearer mind. That's when it happens, is in the morning, especially if you are a morning person. But you need to figure out what your times are, whenever they are. So if you normally wake up at noon, your morning is at 1 in the afternoon. Go do your work at 2 in the afternoon, you'll be fine. But now if you're a creative type like me, yay! We're night owls, the musicians and the artists. We are the vampires of the night, baby. We are the ones that function better when our brains are a little tired, which is weird. I know it's very weird. It sounds completely crazy, but when your brain isn't operating optimally and it's not as efficient, it is perfect time to make new connections between ideas that you would not normally get, because usually you're just very rigid in your thinking earlier in the day. Well, this is just like this and this is just like that. But in the afternoon, you're like, well, maybe that's like that. And you guys have seen me or heard me be very wistful in my thinking sometimes. My thinking process at night is like, well, maybe that is like, maybe that. And then, oh, the light bulb hits. I've had a few light bulb moments live while recording the show. And that's because I'm doing it late at night. This is the time in which you are open to new ideas. You make the new connections between the ideas, as I just said, but also you learn to think in new ways when you are a little tired in the evening, in the night. When you have your biggest, most creative moments, when your highest peak of creativity is when you have a tired, fuzzy brain. And that gives me the warm fuzzies. I love that. So, yeah, when you have a warm, fuzzy brain, that's when you're going to have your eureka moments, your ahas. Those are always going to come usually at the end of the day or at night when you hop in the shower before you go to bed. When you're laying in bed, you're falling asleep. Oh, what? And boom, you get an idea. Yep. It's happened many times for me like that. I have to get up, turn on the light, write it down in a notebook so I don't forget. But that's the way it works. So the time at night, if you're a night owl, you're a creative person, at night it's a good time for you because it's a time of innovation and thinking up alternative solutions. And you will come up with diverse interpretations of things that you never would have thought of during the day or in the early morning. And you'll also learn that this is the time when you're going to get the greatest insights. Now, this is a very weird one. Morning people have a 22-hour cycle. They call this the fast body clock. So if you're a morning person, you're functioning on 22 hours a day, baby. Now, if you are a night owl like me, we're kind of on a 25-hour cycle. I see that's true. I really do. I mean, you know, sometimes I'll get up at 10:30 and then the next day I get up at 11:30. I'm on a 25-hour cycle. Then I get up at 1:30 and then at 2:30 and then it's just, sometimes I get up at 5. Then I have to force myself to start all over again. It's true. It is true. We're on a longer cycle. We're called, our cycle is called the slow body clock, as opposed to the fast body clock of the 22-hour morning people. So the 25-hour cycle people, we have a slow body clock, but the average person, if you're kind of not really quite a night owl or not quite a morning person, on average, we have a 24.5-hour body clock rhythm cycle. Most mammals have about a 24-hour body clock, and humans have just about a half hour more added to that. Now, sunlight, this is important. This is very, very important and very interesting. They discovered that in the early hours of the day, if you go get some sun in the early hours and you soak up those rays from the first light of dawn, this is going to speed up your body clock and it will help you to become a morning person, and you'll want to sleep earlier in the night. Weird, right? Now, if you just mosey on outside in the late afternoon, gain the sun in the afternoon is different. And what this is going to do, it's going to slow down your body clock, and it will actually keep you up at night. So that's a really great solution for jet lag, isn't it? It's a solution for anything. If you have to start getting up early for a project, now you know when to catch the rays. You could trick your body into doing what you want based on the sunlight and the type of sunlight you get and at what time of day. Ooh, isn't it weird when you see all the wheels turning and the gears are shifting and you've opened up the back of the clock and you're like, aha, I see how it all works. When you do that about life, when life is your clock, it's pretty crazy, right? So, alcohol will give you less effect during the late afternoon, super early evening. So those drinks after work, they're not going to hit you as much as if you had them in the early afternoon or late morning. They're not going to hit you as much as if you did it late at night. Weird, right? Now, this is one that I thought was weird. I don't quite believe it, but apparently this is true. There are more babies born between 3 o'clock and 5 o'clock in the morning than at any other time. Like, wow, my youngest was born in the afternoon and my oldest was born at night. But my oldest was born after 26 hours of labor. My water broke at 8:40 and 26 hours later at 10:40 on the nose, she was born. 26 freaking hours. My second one, I think I'd been in labor for 4 hours, but I slept through most of it. I woke up, got in the car, got to the hospital, and 45 minutes later delivered him. He's like super efficient. He does stuff so quick. And my oldest would just take hours and hours to get anything done. It's so weird how their personalities kind of match like their birth story. I don't know. It's just really, that's something that needs to be looked into, I think. But I mean, I myself, I was born in the late afternoon. My husband was born at 11 o'clock at night. So I don't know. I mean, I don't think I've met anybody who's born between 3 and 5 in the morning. But apparently there are more babies born in the whole world between 3 and 5 a.m. Like, I know those hours to be when most asthmatics die. So it's a good thing I didn't give birth during the death hours for asthmatics. I might have died in childbirth. So, I mean, that does raise a question, doesn't it? I mean, did the person giving birth and having and dying at those hours, did they also have lung issues? Because it wasn't 5 in the afternoon, where the lungs are functioning at 17% better. Very weird, right? I don't know. Always thinking, this is just the way my brain works. I'm always putting stuff together. But between 3 o'clock and 5 o'clock in the morning, the reason why more babies are born, scientists believe, is that your body is more relaxed during these hours. Your brain is more relaxed. Your muscles are more relaxed. And the sensations of pain are lowered in these hours. That explains it. Both of my pregnancies are pretty damn painful. But I can't believe that. That was just a crazy one, right? So anyway, I started looking up other things. Vitamins. You should be taking your vitamins in the morning, 30 minutes before you eat your breakfast, or 2 hours after you eat. Now, if you suffer from H. pylori, you and I both know you're never going to take vitamins on an empty stomach because you don't even eat in the morning. Most people with H. pylori feel nauseated and weird, and there's no way in hell you're going to get me to eat food in the morning. 2, 3, 4 in the afternoon, I might have a donut or a piece of bread or some kind of a grain to kind of ease my body into eating, and then I'll have a banana or 4 bananas because of H. pylori. It's not, I don't have it now, but I've had it a few times, and it's just, my whole life I've been nauseated every morning. Nausea is a sign of H. pylori, so you need to get yourself checked if you have it. Something that does kill it is Pepto-Bismol, but you don't want to take that every day. Not only will it, if you take it every day, it'll turn your poop black, it will also turn your tongue black, which is very weird, very disconcerting. So you don't want to do that. How can something hot pink turn anyway? I don't know. It's so weird. But if you want to take your vitamins, 2 hours after you eat or 30 minutes before you take your breakfast. Oh, excuse me. See, now it's time for me to sleep. Look at my body's going, oh, there's those clocks ticking. Gotta get that done. Now, it's best to take your minerals at night because your body's already getting ready to relax, and minerals it's what helps your body to relax. If you take a bath with Epsom salts, always better to do it at night because your body's soaking in the minerals of the magnesium, and that is very good for your body. It's very good for your connective tissue and your skin. The magnesium sulfate, I believe that is what Epsom salts are. Magnesium is super good for you, so if you soak in it, your skin is your biggest organ, and it's going to just soak that up. And it will decrease your arthritis, and it will do a lot of good for you. But I think in the evening is better for you to take a bath like that. Probably why I'm so relaxed right now. Am yawning and everything? There was something else I was going to say. Now I can't remember what it was. Vitamins and minerals. Anyway, that's all I had written down. It's enough because it's been an hour and 40 minutes for this episode already. Anyway, well, I love you. Love each and every one of you. I hope that wherever you are in the world, around the world, I hope that you have a good night. I bid you all a farewell, and I'm signing off now with peace and joy and the high vibes of the holy fifth dimension. Until next time, guys, peace. Metaphysical Soul Speak is run on sponsors and listener support. This means listeners like you. If you are so inclined to support my efforts and my little podcast, please visit me at anchor.fm/metaphysical and pledge an amount of your choosing today. Thank you.